Did you know there are wealth-building habits hidden in the Bible that have created more millionaires throughout history than any business school or investment strategy? I'm talking about proven principles that transformed ordinary people into extraordinary stewards of abundance. The Bible contains over 2,500 verses about money and wealth, making it the most comprehensive financial guide ever written. Yet most people skip right over these life-changing secrets. Here's what's fascinating. Every single person you admire for their biblical character and lasting impact also happened to accumulate significant wealth. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Job, Joseph, David, Solomon. These weren't accidents. They followed specific patterns that the Bible reveals in stunning detail. And today, I'm going to show you the 9 wealth habits that separate those who build lasting riches from those who remain stuck in financial mediocrity. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about understanding God's design for prosperity and aligning your financial decisions with eternal wisdom. Stay until the end because habit number 9 is the most powerful wealth multiplier in human history. And here's what makes this different from every other financial advice you've heard. These principles have been tested for thousands of years across every culture, every economy, and every generation. They work because they're based on the character of God Himself. Before we dive in, let me share something that will change how you view money forever. The Bible never condemns wealth. It condemns the love of money, the hoarding of resources, and the worship of material things. But wealth itself? God calls it a blessing, a tool, and a responsibility. Abraham was called the friend of God while being incredibly wealthy. Job was described as blameless and upright while owning vast herds and precious metals. These men understood something most people miss. Money isn't the problem. How you think about money is the problem. So let's break down these 9 biblical wealth habits that have built lasting riches for centuries. Habit number 1. They recognize that all wealth belongs to God. This isn't just spiritual talk. This is the foundation of biblical wealth building. When Abraham defeated the kings and recovered the stolen goods, he immediately acknowledged that his victory and wealth came from God, not his own strength. This mindset shift changes everything about how you handle money. When you truly understand that you're a steward, not an owner, you make different decisions. You invest differently. You spend differently. You save differently. Because you know you'll give an account for how you manage God's resources. This removes the anxiety and greed that destroy most people's financial lives. Instead of clutching money tightly out of fear, you hold it loosely with purpose. Habit number 2. They give before they receive. Every biblically wealthy person in Scripture was a giver first. Abraham offered a tenth to Melchizedek before he became incredibly prosperous. Jacob promised to give a tenth of everything God would give him. This isn't about manipulation or trying to buy God's favor. This is about aligning your heart with God's generous nature. When you give first, you're declaring that your trust isn't in your bank account, but in God's provision. You're breaking the spirit of poverty that says you never have enough. Biblical giving opens up spiritual and practical channels of blessing that simply don't operate any other way. The wealthy understand that generosity creates circulation, and circulation creates multiplication. Habit number 3. They plan with wisdom and seek divine guidance. Look at Joseph in Egypt. He didn't accidentally save enough grain for 7 years of famine. He received revelation from God and then created a detailed strategic plan. Biblical wealth builders don't just pray and hope. They pray, plan, and execute with excellence. They understand that faith without works is dead, but works without faith are futile. Every major financial decision goes through the filter of prayer and biblical wisdom. They don't chase get-rich-quick schemes or follow the crowd. They seek God's direction and then move forward with confidence and discipline. Habit number 4. They work with excellence and integrity. The Bible is crystal clear about this principle. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Work as unto the Lord, not unto men. Biblical wealth builders don't do the minimum required. They pursue excellence in everything they touch. This excellence isn't about perfectionism or people-pleasing. It's about honoring God through the quality of your work. When you consistently deliver more value than you're paid for, promotion and increase become inevitable. Your reputation becomes your greatest asset, and your integrity opens doors that money alone never could. Excellence also means continuous learning and skill development. The wise increase in learning. They understand that their ability to create value directly impacts their ability to build wealth. They invest in themselves because they know that what they become is more important than what they acquire. Habit number 5. They manage what they have before asking for more. Jesus taught that whoever is faithful in little will be faithful in much. This principle governs all biblical wealth building. God doesn't multiply disorder, waste, or poor stewardship. Before you pray for more income, examine how you're managing your current resources. Are you tracking where every dollar goes? Do you have a budget that reflects your values and priorities? Are you eliminating debt and building an emergency fund? These aren't just practical steps. They're spiritual disciplines that prepare you to handle greater responsibility. Biblical wealth builders understand that money is a test. How you handle small amounts reveals whether you can be trusted with larger amounts. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress and faithfulness in the details that others ignore. Habit number 6. They understand the power of multiplication through partnership. Biblical wealth builders never operate in isolation. They understand that iron sharpens iron and that two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. Look at how Abraham partnered with others in his business ventures. Study how David surrounded himself with mighty men who each brought unique strengths to the kingdom. This isn't about using people or forming partnerships based on convenience. It's about recognizing that God often multiplies resources through relationships built on mutual respect, shared values, and complementary skills. When you align yourself with people who share your vision and commitment to biblical principles, you create synergy that produces results far beyond what any individual could achieve alone. Biblical partnerships are founded on trust, clear communication, and shared spiritual values. They understand that success isn't just about financial gain, but about advancing God's purposes together. These relationships become channels through which wisdom, opportunities, and resources flow in ways that benefit everyone involved. Habit number 7. They practice patience and resist the temptation of instant gratification. Every biblical example of lasting wealth involved seasons of waiting, preparation, and gradual building. Abraham waited decades for God's promises to manifest. Joseph served faithfully in prison before his elevation to leadership. David tended sheep for years before becoming king. Our culture screams for immediate results, instant success, and overnight fortunes. But biblical wealth building operates on God's timeline, not human impatience. Those who understand this principle make decisions based on long-term thinking rather than short-term emotions. They plant seeds today, knowing they may not see the full harvest for years or even decades. This patience isn't passive waiting. It's active preparation during seasons of seeming delay. They use waiting periods to develop character, build skills, strengthen relationships, and position themselves for the opportunities that will eventually come. They understand that overnight success usually takes about 10 years of faithful preparation. Habit number 8. They protect their wealth through wisdom and diversification. Biblical wealth builders don't put all their resources in one place or depend on a single source of income. They understand the principle of not putting all your eggs in one basket. Solomon's wealth came from multiple sources, including trade routes, taxation, agriculture, and international partnerships. This isn't about fear or lack of faith. It's about wise stewardship that acknowledges both opportunities and risks. They build multiple streams of income, invest in different types of assets, and always maintain reserves for unexpected challenges. They prepare for both abundance and scarcity, understanding that seasons change, and wise preparation prevents unnecessary hardship. They also protect their wealth by surrounding themselves with wise counselors and avoiding foolish investments driven by greed or emotion. They take time to research, pray, and seek advice before making major financial decisions. They understand that preservation of wealth is just as important as accumulation of wealth. And this leads us to habit number 9, the most powerful wealth multiplier in human history. They use their wealth to create legacy and advance God's purposes. Biblical wealth builders understand that money is ultimately a tool for impact, not just accumulation. They build wealth not to hoard it, but to deploy it strategically for maximum kingdom influence. Look at how David accumulated vast treasures not for personal luxury, but to build the temple. See how wealthy believers throughout Scripture use their resources to support God's work, care for the poor, and create opportunities for others. They measured success not just by what they accumulated, but by what they accomplished for eternity. This mindset transforms everything about wealth building. When you're building for legacy rather than just lifestyle, you make different choices. You think generationally rather than seasonally. You invest in things that matter beyond your lifetime. And here's the remarkable thing that happens when you embrace this perspective. God entrusts you with more because He knows you'll use it wisely. These 9 habits aren't just financial strategies. They're character development tools that transform you into the kind of person God can trust with true riches. Because biblical wealth isn't ultimately about money. It's about becoming a faithful steward who can handle both abundance and adversity with equal grace. The choice is yours today. You can continue living with the same financial patterns that have kept you where you are, or you can begin implementing these biblical principles that have created lasting wealth for thousands of years. These aren't just ancient stories. These are timeless truths that work in every economy, every culture, and every generation because they're based on the unchanging character of God. Remember, biblical wealth building isn't about getting rich quick or accumulating money for selfish purposes. It's about becoming the kind of person God can trust with resources that advance His kingdom and bless others. It's about stewarding what He gives you with excellence, integrity, and eternal perspective. Start with habit number 1 today. Acknowledge that everything you have belongs to God and you're simply the manager. Then move through each habit systematically, allowing these principles to transform not just your bank account, but your entire relationship with money and purpose. The same God who blessed Abraham, Joseph, and David wants to bless you, but He's looking for faithful stewards who will use those blessings according to His design. Don't wait for your circumstances to change. Change your habits, and your circumstances will follow. Because when you align your financial life with God's principles, you're not just building wealth. You're building a legacy that will impact generations. If these biblical wealth principles have opened your eyes to a new way of thinking about money and stewardship, make sure you subscribe and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Your financial breakthrough might be one decision away.